Have you ever felt that the world has gone mad, that society has lost its way, that conversations are empty, and the constant noise pulls you away from who you truly are? Perhaps at some point you thought about disappearing, not out of weakness, but for clarity. In this video, we will explore a decision as radical as it is ancient, abandoning everything. Some of the most lucid minds in history chose to live in seclusion. What does solitude offer that the modern world can never provide? This is the philosophy of the hermit, and perhaps today it makes more sense than ever. If these times persist, I will become a hermit, for I see here nothing but pain and torment. Evils reign, good people are despised, and the wicked seize the seats of government. Eustache Deschamps. According to legend, the sage Lao Tzu withdrew from society after writing the Tao Te Ching, the foundational text of Taoism. Some believe he sought a simpler life, closer to nature. Others say Lao Tzu was weary of the moral decay of society and the power struggles he witnessed, so he intended to retire. Although Lao Tzu's life is shrouded in myth, the sentiments attributed to him are all too human. Many preceded him, and many followed, leaving society behind and living their lives in seclusion. Throughout time, this peculiar desire of a small group of people to isolate themselves has persisted to this day. Some still yearn for the profound solitude that a hermit's life can offer. Some still contemplate abandoning a society that in their view has nothing worthwhile to offer. What drove people in the past and present to become hermits? What does a life of seclusion offer? And is the hermit's life possible today? Let's explore the philosophy of the hermit. But before you abandon society and become a recluse, consider supporting this channel by joining my Patreon page, where you'll have access to ad-free videos, free merchandise, and the chance to vote on topics from the comfort of your mountain cave. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy this video. Pinpointing the first hermits in human history is difficult, as we cannot be entirely sure when people began isolating themselves. The ascetics of ancient India from the Vedic tradition date back thousands of years. The Upanishads contain references to individuals who renounced society and sought spiritual practice in the forest, free from distractions. From the Christian tradition, we have the desert fathers and mothers, such as St. Paul of Thebes and Amma Syncletica of Alexandria. In China, there is still an active hermit culture, particularly in the Zhongnan Mountains, where many hermits reside today. Additionally, there have been philosophers who admired hermits and adopted a semi-hermit lifestyle, such as Henry David Thoreau and Thomas Merton. Ultimately, we must conclude that the hermit's life has persisted across centuries worldwide and still exists today. So, why do people become hermits? What drives them to leave society and spend their lives in solitude? To answer this question, I am indebted to two main sources: the comprehensive book, Hermits, The Insights of Solitude by Peter France, and an episode of a remarkable philosophy podcast called Hermetic, link below. In the latter, expert and author Robert Rodriguez shares insights that were immensely helpful. For many hermits, the pursuit of spirituality has been a primary reason. For example, Taoist hermits sought to draw closer to the Tao. But there is another motivation that drives people to become hermits. Take the Desert Fathers, for instance. They witnessed the fusion of the church and imperial power, which they considered detrimental to Christian values and their ability to practice their faith. Their decision to isolate was not only a call to a more spiritual life, they also wanted to escape the growing corruption of faith in society. It is not just isolation, but also the renunciation of society that characterizes hermits. As Rodriguez mentions, they realize they cannot change the world, but they can distance themselves from it. Whether it's corruption, wicked people in government, moral decay, or the self-exploitation of today's society, they are done with it. It has nothing more to offer them. The effort simply isn't worth it. Just look at the world today. Tensions between powerful nations, growing polarization, rampant greed, and a small group of ultra-wealthy individuals wielding most of the power. Have you recently had thoughts like, "I no longer want to be part of this," or "I wish I could get away from all this"? Well, you're not alone. Renouncing society is a universal phenomenon. Hermits have been doing it for centuries. According to their accounts, many hermits find that their lives improve in solitude. Moreover, people consulted them for advice. Since their existence, people have sought guidance on living within society from those who turned their backs on it. That's ironic, isn't it? Apparently, people see something valuable in the hermit's existence. So what makes the hermit's life valuable? What do hermits find in solitude? Let's explore this. The invaluable joy of isolation. What is so appealing about isolation? Aren't we social beings who need interaction with others? Or could isolation be something beneficial? What can be found in profound solitude? Are there any benefits to the lack of human connection? There are many accounts that speak of the joys and benefits of isolation. Take, for example, the story of Christopher Knight, who disappeared into the woods and lived there for decades. The book, The Stranger in the Woods, provides insight into his solitary life. Christopher found liberation from the noise of society and a rare form of inner peace. He also speaks of an almost symbiotic relationship with nature, a joyful experience described by Thoreau, and something Taoist hermits also seek. Escaping the noise of society and being close to nature are advantages commonly experienced by hermits. Such conditions allow for a deep spiritual life and, in some cases, intellectual pursuits. Although Schopenhauer was not a hermit, he avoided crowds, which allowed him to study and deepen his philosophy. Nietzsche used solitude to develop his philosophy, emphasizing it as a means for the Übermensch to rise above the herd. Rodriguez presents an interesting point and argument for the hermit's life, the truth of impermanence. Consider, for example, today's consumerist society and what it pursues. It's about chasing status, money, fancy cars, beautiful houses, and other material things. People also seek friends and relationships. They want to belong and fit in. They keep up with the latest fashion and trends. Follow the news that bombards them with pessimism and sadness 24/7. I've been reading a book by Rolf Dobelli called Stop Reading the News, which shows that most news is redundant information designed to capture our attention and generate profits. And it generally makes us feel anxious, angry, and insecure. As the wisest of humanity have wisely observed, everything is transient. The external world is in constant flux. Everything comes and goes. Yet we constantly cling and attach ourselves to the impermanent, causing all sorts of unpleasant emotions and draining our energy. The hermit sees through this scheme and therefore disengages from these things. All these worldly concerns won't make them happy. On the contrary, they stand in the way of their happiness and well-being. Imagine the joy of avoiding meaningless, trivial conversations, social pressure, and the constant need to fit in. A peace and calm that allow for uninterrupted creative or spiritual activities. Worldly winds do not sweep through the hermit's domain, making it a haven of tranquility. From that haven, the hermit sees society from the outside. It reveals flaws generally invisible from within. It shows the vanity of the herd's pursuits and puts worldly concerns in a different light. This is the hermit's unique perspective, perhaps the reason why people consult them for advice. Now that we've reflected on the benefits of isolation, such as inner peace, closeness to nature, the absence of social noise, and detachment from the mundane, let's place the hermit's philosophy in a modern context. What is it like to be a hermit today? Is there such a thing as a modern hermit? Can we adopt certain aspects of the hermit's life to benefit our own? The hermit today. Over the centuries, humanity has built large, complex, interconnected societies in an increasingly globalized world. We have never been so connected, nor have we been exposed to so much information about virtually anything on Earth and beyond. Though marginalized, the hermit has withstood the test of time, and people who wish to isolate themselves still exist, perhaps even more than before. Today, the act of isolating oneself is generally seen as something negative. From personal experience, I've noticed that when you isolate yourself, people assume something is wrong with you. The phenomenon of hikikomori in Japan, who reject society, is considered a widespread problem, setting aside mental health issues. As the conversation with Rodriguez clarifies, today's world generally offers little respect or support for hermits. It is also a challenge to emulate the classic hermit lifestyle in a practical sense. In most places, you need some legal ties, such as identification, taxes, or property. These things generally require having a bank account and a phone. While a certain degree of self-sufficiency is still possible, being truly independent and disconnected has become increasingly difficult. But today's society also offers opportunities. Growing technological advancements and individualism allow for a different kind of eremitism, one that is somewhat paradoxical. Consider the urban hermit or city hermit. You'll find different descriptions of this curious type when you search for urban hermit on Google. I came across an old Chinese proverb: the mediocre hermit resides in the forest, the great hermit lives in the city. This suggests that it is not only possible, but perhaps more admirable to preserve solitude in a bustling urban environment. So how does the modern city hermit live? Seeking isolation amidst the crowd, alone in an apartment or house with minimal human contact. Again, this sounds paradoxical, but in today's world, it actually makes sense. Hybrid hermits. Life in the city used to involve a lot of social interactions. People had to physically go to work, and if they wanted to buy something, they had to visit these places called stores. Things like banking transactions or booking a trip happened in person, but times have changed. In many places, you can survive without even leaving your home. An internet connection allows you to shop, earn money, manage banking operations, file taxes, etc. As part of the urban matrix, the city hermit is not self-sufficient like a Taoist hermit with their mountain hut and garden. However, the system allows them to live with minimal human contact and, let's be honest, the comforts of the city. But for some, remaining in a city or society they despise is unbearable. Even as a hermit, it may suit them better to leave, ideally to a distant culture. Being in a different culture creates distance from home. The tension and politics of your native country can feel quite irrelevant in another. In Indonesia, for example, the whole left-right nonsense barely exists, and few care about foreign politics. It's a relief, and you don't have to be a recluse to benefit. I'd even say that a digital nomad can adopt a hermit-like lifestyle.